Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest CyCast, and we have an awesome guest in Edward Kemboi, one of Iowa State's greatest middle distance runners in school history. Edward was a 8-time All-American, 7-time Big 12 champion, and 2-time national champion in 800 meters during his amazing cycling career from 2011-2015. And Edward is going to the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame this fall. And we're so glad to have you on the sidecast, Edward. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for reaching out to me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to catching up here. The first, I guess, the first question I want to ask you is, how excited were you when Jamie Pollard told you you're going into the Hall of Fame?
I started like sweating. Like, I swear to God, if I can show you right now, there is some, sweat going down. I don't know, man. I got so excited because I've been praying it for a long time. I was like, when am I going to get inducted? But, I knew I was going to be inducted, but I didn't even know it was going to be this soon, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
I'm so excited and I don't know. Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, we're so happy for you. And I, I guess another question that I want to ask you is, just growing up in Kenya, um, which competitive running is obviously so important there. How did you get started into long distance running or middle distance running when you were growing up?
So clearly, I would say like I had a motivation, and that was like my sister. So when I saw like my sister running, I think I had like this interview before because I had someone who used to run in our family, and I was like, hey, you know what? One day I would like to be like her. And then that's when like running came into me, like, hey, you know what? I need to push like all day, day in, day out. And that's how like running started, like I'll say running in my body
Yep.
because I knew like one day, one time, I will have my name somewhere. So I had to set like a base, like, hey, if my sister's going to be like somewhere, I would like to be like right there because with like education and I would say like technology, I knew like, hey, you know what? If I push a little bit, I might be, someone. You feel me? And then that I used to run 400. I was in a 800-meter run until I met someone who changed like everything, and that was Barnabas Correr, who is like I would say right now is second deputy, or I don't know. He worked for like Athletics Kenya. That was the guy who came to my life and changed everything because he was the guy who came to me and he was like, Edward, I can see you like a good athlete, but I don't think you can do better in 400.
Yep.
I didn't know I was gonna be a good 800 meters until I met that guy. And he was like, Edward, I want you to transition from 400 to 800. And then I didn't believe him, but that was the person who like told me like, hey, if you end up like changing from 400 to 800, you will get a scholarship because I didn't even know what scholarship was back then. And I was like, hey, if this 800 is going to take me to America, I'm going to pursue that. And then, boom,
The
met
rest
with
is history.
Barnabas. Yeah, the rest is history. And then I met with Corey Himmels because
Yeah.
Corey Himmels was like I was state coach by then. And then I think he was told like there's a guy in Kenya, a little boy, because I was still young, who is like a best 400-meter runner. And Corey, I know for like coaching experience, he trains like a distance. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to get like a new coach in America. Well, I'm gonna give everything that I got. And you say, and like you said, everything is history.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
obviously, you started breaking records early in your career, and then by the time you got later in your career in 2014, I want to talk about the 2014 Big 12 Indoor Championship, which was at the Lead Rec Center in Ames, Iowa,
Yeah,
and you became the first runner in Big 12 history to win the 800 and 1,000 in the same meet,
yeah.
and at the Big 12 meet, I guess. Was that something? And I try to put in perspective how hard that is first, because most coaches wouldn't even allow their athletes to try to attempt what you did. Um, how did you feel confident that you could pull that off? Actually winning the 800 and 1,000 at the Big 12 championship.
I remember that day very well because I would give credit to two people. I would give credit to Jeremy Sadbury,
Mhm.
who
Yep,
used to like,
Iowa State
yes,
head coach right now.
he was assistant coach by then.
Yep,
And then the second person is going to be Patrick Peterson, who is also like,
an
you know,
assistant coach at Iowa State.
exactly. Those are the people who push me to my limit. You know what? Every time when I step in on the track, I know I wasn't going to lose no matter who you are.
Yeah,
So Jeremy and Patrick, those are the people like they gave me like I don't know. He gave me like something that I didn't even believe in myself. Patrick used to push me on practice. Jeremy used to like give me like motivational speaks like, Ed, you know what? I think you will be great, man. Like every time, like, hey. And then everything like sink in and I was like, hey, if Jeremy believes in me, Patrick's like helps me to push like all day, like every time, like I used to call Patrick my dad because every time he makes sure like I eat, I go to bed, I go to like a grocery store because I didn't have a car. I used to borrow Patrick's car, but he was like, Ed, I'm gonna take you because I didn't have a license. You
yep,
know, those are the people who used to push me, and I don't know. Up to date, I give Patrick Peterson and Coach Jeremy credit for everything that I had at Iowa State.
yeah, and Edward, try to explain to the people out there that those races were like 20 minutes apart, correct?
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause I don't know, man. So I feel like with like my training from Jeremy, I feel like I was 100% going to like compete. Whenever I go to like a start line, I'm just me and Jeremy used to analyze like a start list. So whenever I go for like a competition, we have to analyze like my section. If it's like 8 guys or 7 guys, we need to analyze them. So every time, whenever I step on a track, we just go through everybody. And then Jeremy was like, Ed, you know what? That is not going for you. You just win. I don't want you to run fast, but I want
Yep,
you to win.
yep,
So yeah, it was like 15. I would say like 20 minutes apart, but I don't know. Running like a 148 at lead center, it was something easy for me. Running like 223, 224, maybe 222,
yeah,
it was like running in a park. Just easy.
yeah. I can't remember,
Mhm.
Edward, if it was in the 2014 Big 12 indoor or the 2015 when you did the where you almost got disqualified for the John Cena. Which one
Yeah,
was that? And
it's
how'd you
just
get up
like
with the
you can
big
see.
the big John Cena fan? How did you become such a big John Cena fan?
So growing up as a kid in Kenya, I feel like we didn't have like a TV. So there was only one family who has a TV, and that was like maybe 3, maybe 4 kilometers away. We used to walk from my house to that family to just watch like wrestling. And guess what? My favorite wrestler was John Cena. He was
Yeah,
like this guy who wears like a shirt because I love wearing a shirt growing up as a kid because I didn't have like a pair of pants. So every time when I see someone wearing like a shirt, I was like, this is my guy. And guess who came to my mind? It was always John Cena. Like every time he pits like people, it just you can't see me. And then where I got like you can see me was John Cena because he was my hero. And up to date, I feel like I used to bet with Jeremy like, hey, you know what? Whenever I win like Big 12 or like nationals, I wanna go to like you know a live performance for like WWE. And guess what? When I won like indoor nationals 2015, Jeremy was like, hey, guess what, Ed? There is like a live performance in Des Moines, Iowa. And I was like, you know what? I want to go. And I went there with my teammate by then, Brian Pickett. And I think Brian Jamas, I think. We were like 3 of us. And I was so excited. But I thought I was like, WWE fan, but whenever I got there were some young kids. They loved John Cena. I was like, man, I thought I was the only fan, but there is some younger kids than me who love John Cena. I was like, I love this atmosphere. So that's every time I win the race, I would like to do like John Cena celebration. But a lot of people thought it was kind of disrespectful, but for me, it was like a celebration.
yes. And I remember talking to Coach Sudbury he was saying that he had to explain that to the officials. That he's not trying to show up anyone. So your 2014 season obviously was amazing. You ended up finishing second in the NCAA indoor in the 800. Going into your senior year, your last year in 2015, how much confidence did you have that you almost won the national title in 14? Heading into that senior year, like, were you just ready to go? I'm ready to take over this event.
You know, when I got like 2014, I feel like it was like I would use the word like learning, and then 2015, it was kind of I would use the word redemption because I lost 2014 and I was kind of motivated going to like 2015. Like, hey, you know what? I'm better than last year. I remember even Jeremy know I never slept when I lost in 2014. I think it was in not Arkansas, it was New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I lost it after going in there ranked number one because I ran like a 145.8, like 145.9, I think. I knew I was going to win it, but when I lost it, I was kind of disappointed. But I used that and I used it again as a learning experience. No matter who you are, when you're in the NCAA nationals, you might run like a 144 or like a 143, but during the championship race, it's anybody's race.
Yeah.
I was kind of confident, but I feel like I even became overconfident. But it costed me, and then I learned a lot from that race. And then going to 2015, I put everything that I got. I was like, hey, you know what? I lost last year. It's the matter of redemption.
Yep.
I'm not gonna see anybody, in front of me through like the last, I would say, 150, 100, I use even Jamie Pollard was telling me a couple minutes ago, like, hey, I knew like going to like a race, like, hey, I have like a better kick than everybody else. Because I'm a 400-meter runner guy.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna stick with people and just, you know.
Yeah.
So I practiced with Jeremy like the last 150. I don't even remember when I did like 200 workouts in Ames. I never did that. It was either like 250s or 150s. I never ran like a 200. But and then that was something that like helped me, gave me a lot of confidence going to 2015.
Yep. Well, for Iowa State fans out there, the 2015 season for Edward Kemboi was one of the most amazing in Iowa State track and field history. 3 conference titles, 2 national titles, and we're going to talk about a lot of that in the next couple of questions, Edward. But I want to first talk about the Big 12 indoor in 2015 when you literally pulled the double again, where you won both 800 and 1,000. But this time in the 1,000, you were kind of behind a little bit at the final turn, but you did your kick at the end, and kind of tell us about how you were able to have enough energy to win that after winning the 800 20 minutes prior.
So, like I said again, after I won like 800, I went back to I would say like a drawing board. I met with like Jeremy Sudbury and again Patrick Peterson. Every time those are the 2 people that I work with. We just finished like 800. Ed, you know what? You just sit and kick. I knew I was faster than everybody in the field, but I didn't want to show off or like use a lot of energy because one way or another, I knew I was going to win it.
Yep.
But again, I remember I think we had like some I was still like teammates racing again. And I was like, hey, because whenever I end up like being in front, I feel like I was trying to pull away from people. Because I was like a team player. I wanted like my teammates to score. Because I didn't want to go and then my teammates end up not like scoring. So I wanted to stay like as close as possible with everybody in the race because it's like 223, 224. It's not like something crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like, Ed. Jeremy was like, Ed, I just want you to win. It's not like the matter of like running fast. It's like a championships. Just I want you to win. I was like, Jeremy, come on, trust me. And he trusted me. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna do what it takes to win it.
Yep. Well, finally, the Big 12 gave you the the Big 12 Indoor Performer of the Year for that performance, which is obviously an amazing accomplishment. But let's talk about your Edward. So you win your first NCAA indoor title in the 800 in 2015, and I want to talk about that race really quick. So Brandon McBride of Mississippi State was probably one of your top rivals. He had won both the indoor and outdoor 800 the previous year, and the strategy going to that meet was a little different from you. I mean, or you took the early lead, right? And you just never looked back in that race. And it wasn't even like you decided I'm going to get this one, and you went and got it, because no one ever really ever even threatened you after that, did they?
So this is what happened. So during the race, I could hear like Jeremy from the sideline. I would say like from the stands, like, "Ed, go!" You feel me? So
Yeah.
when we went out, the first 200 was like 25. I was supposed to take it, but in my mind, I knew like Brandon McBride was the person to beat in that race. Like 100%, he was the person to beat. I was like, hey, you know what? Like I said, every time going to like a race, we have to analyze every athlete in the final, or like every section I was in. So Jeremy was just like, Ed, whenever you feel like the race is going slower, I want you to go. And then even though I could feel like, yeah, the race was like going a little slower, going through like 400. I hear Jeremy from the start like, Ed, Araka. That means like go faster.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I could hear Jeremy from the stand. So this is it. I took a lead. I wasn't even thinking, because Jeremy, like I used to work with Jeremy as much as possible. Like even during like a competition, Jeremy was just on the sideline. And it's like, Ed, it's time to go. Ed, go. I was like, hey, I've never taken the lead through 400, but I trusted my cards. I trusted my coach telling me, like, Ed, I want you to go. And I did that. I never looked back. And then next thing, I was just celebrating.
Yep. NCAA
Yeah.
champion for the first time, and then
Yeah.
and then what you did in the outdoor is something that hasn't happened much in Iowa State track history, is that you won the NCAA indoor and outdoor titles in the same event in the same season, and I think Jonah Koech was the only other Cyclone to ever pull that off. I think,
Yeah.
and so, but that race, and this is at obviously historic Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon. That race was a lot different, wasn't it, Edward? It was more, you were in the middle of the pack. It was a slower pace, and you were kind of bottled up in the middle there. And then you used your famous kick this time to pull it off to get the second national title. Tell us about what happened in that race.
So this is again, credit goes to Jeremy, because every time he used to tell me like, Ed, not even Jeremy alone, Patrick, stay on lane one, inside lane, and avoid, stepping on, off the track. Just be focused
Yep.
and stay on lane one. So no matter, even if you see like all my races, I always win in lane one. It's just, no matter who you are, I'm just gonna stick on lane one. Jeremy was just like, hey Ed, I want you to win this. It's going to be hard. It was going to be harder for me, but like I said, it was something. We went out through 400. I think it was like 56. And I was expecting McBride to be on the front, but for some reason, he wasn't even on the picture. He
Yeah.
was behind me. I was just like, oh my God, what's going on here? And then we went out really slow, and I was like, well, this is going to be fun. Like I say, I trust my kick. I was like, hey, you know what? Just chill. Every time there was some, a lot of like pushing, and I was like, yeah, Ed, I think I got this, because I always trust on my kick.
Yep.
That was something I knew, even how slow it was going to be or how fast it was going to be. I was ready for it, because on the semifinals, I ran a 145. I had like the fastest time, 145.5, I think.
Yeah.
And Jeremy was just like, Ed, you got this. We didn't even talk a lot, because me and Jeremy, we end up having like a brother to brother bond. Feel me? So every time, like, Ed, you know what? I don't have to tell you a lot, because you already know what you have to do. I was like, thank you. And that's it.
Yeah.
Because we trust like the process. excuse me, the training and everything else. So going to like that race, I swear to God, I wasn't even thinking if I was gonna win it, but I had that feeling that hey, I have like my pride again. A lot of like my competitors on that race knew like Kemboi was going to be the person to beat after running like a 145 like on the semifinals. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna be, a normal athlete like you guys. I wasn't gonna go faster because it was windy that day. That's the reason why we end up like running slower. Because I think that was like the slowest like finals in NCAA or maybe because I ran like a 149. I think it was like 149 something. We went like 56 and we ran like 52 the last 400. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously you capped off your Iowa State career in grand style by winning the NCAA Outdoor and the 800, and obviously winning both the same year. And at the end of the year, you were named Iowa State co male athlete of the year, which is an amazing award. I mean, how much did you enjoy your experience at Iowa State, Edward?
From a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'm gonna give it 15. It's even beyond. I loved it. Like Ames environment, everything at Iowa State. I feel like I belong. Iowa State is home to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just like home away from home. My second home is Iowa. I would like to be there in one day. I would like to live in Iowa and start a farm or like work in a farm in Iowa because I study like farming.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Edward, obviously your career ended at Iowa State, but you kept competing. Give us a brief update on your international career and your time like in the Atlanta Track Club.
So before like Atlanta, I used to run for Nike and stuff like that because my goal was to run professionally. That I didn't even know I was gonna run it professionally until 2014 when I met with Jeremy. So Jeremy kind of bring like I would say I don't know because I met with Jeremy and by then Martin Smith. Those are the people I would say like I didn't know I was gonna go beyond college,
Yep.
but when I met with them, my mindset changed. And then coach was like, Ed, I want to see you run in Olympics. I want to see you run at like, world championships. Those are the things that I wasn't even thinking, given the fact that I'm from Kenya. And by then there was like Rhodesia, a lot of like 142, 143 guys. And I was running like a 147, 146.
Yeah.
And then when I met with Jeremy, everything changed. And it was like, Ed, you run. I remember when I ran like a 145 indoors and I was running like 9 in the wall. And Jeremy was like, remember what I told you, Ed? You are the best in the world. I was like, you know what? I think I'm the best. And then I end up like I was selected to represent Team Kenya 2014. By the way, indoors World Indoor Championships, but it was going to be on the same weekend as NCAA's.
Okay.
So Jeremy was like, "Yes. So where do you want to go? You have been selected to represent Kenya, and you're going to NCAA's for Iowa State." I was like, "You know what, man? I would like to run for like my school, you know."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, man. You know what? I still have a long way to go. I'm still like, I'm still young." And he was like, "If that's what you want," I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go for this one." So I end up like foregoing my world championship, no, world indoor championship to represent like Kenya, and end up running for Iowa State. I like it was really hard decision for me to make, but I feel like I made like a right decision because me going to compete for Kenya at world stage and I was still young. I didn't even have experience, I never grow up running like indoors until when I was in America. And then all of a sudden I've been selected to represent Kenya. And then next thing I was just like, man, I don't have experience. I'm just gonna build my resume. Maybe in few years I'll represent Kenya. And guess what? 2 years later, I ended up being on a Kenya team. Right after Iowa State,
Yeah.
I represented Kenya in Portland. I think it was in Portland, Oregon. So that was like the time. Those are the I would say like Jeremy helped me like transition from being like student athlete to like elite athlete. And then I joined Atlanta Track Club with the help of Patrick again. This is something weird because the reason why I joined Atlanta Track Club was because of Patrick. Patrick never like he never ran for he never competed at USA championships until he joined Atlanta Track Club, and I was like,
Nice.
man,
Yep.
yeah, and I was like, if Patrick can compete at US championships, and he was my teammate, you know, I was like, hey, you know what? I think Atlanta Track Club is going to help me become, another athlete, like elite athlete. And that's the reason why I ended up like joining Atlanta because Patrick, I would say like Patrick's career because he ended up running for your US. No. He ended up running at USA Championships. I was like, man, if Patrick can compete at USA Championship on the final, why not me? I can run for Kenya. I can represent Kenya too, and we end up making like finals in Kenya. So that's the reason why I decided to join Atlanta Track Club,
Yeah.
and everything went well.
Well, Edward, you're 32 years old now, and you're still competing. But we're hoping that you can block up some time in September for your
Yeah,
Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame induction. How excited are you to come back to Ames in
man.
September?
I think the first thing I'm gonna do when I land in Iowa, in Des Moines, Iowa. I don't know, man. If there's a way I can just, take I'll say like a ride from Des Moines to Ames by, semi truck or something. I just want to feel, the environment. This is my home, I'm so happy to be home, and I can't wait to just walk around, Iowa State, what do you call the campus,
Campus.
because
Yep.
I think I know every corner, I know every building in Iowa. Not like the first time when I was in Iowa, because I used to get lost. I used to be like 15, 20 minutes late in class because I didn't even know the building. I was given a map like, Ed, you need to get over here, and I didn't even know where that was.
Yeah.
I end up, I remember like a day I found myself in a computer class, and I was just like, where am I? I was in the same building but a different class. I was like, come
Yeah.
on, man. And I used to cry around like every time because I remember it was like a spring. I've never experienced something cold. That's something it never happened to me. Like
Yeah.
every time I could walk outside, I was like, man, this place is like hell. But I wanted to be there, but I wasn't expecting to be cold. Like every time I used to cry by myself, like, man, did I make like a wrong decision? But at the end of at the end of spring, everything changed.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, well, this is my home. I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
persevered and got through it, and we're really Iowa State people are really happy that you did. So, Edward, we can't wait to see you in September, and I want to thank you for joining us on this CyCast. And
Mhm.
yep, we'll see you next fall.
Thank you. Thank you very much.